Once again, to let you know, we are talking about coronavirus and COVID-19 on the University of North Texas campus. The disease is not here. We're talking about how the school will be moving forward after spring break to resume the educational process. Provost Callie, how about students that don't have suitable internet connections, perhaps, or maybe they don't have a home computer or laptop?
We're working through our university libraries and our technology teams across the campus to make technology available to students who may not have it. We'll have a laptop checkout program. We will have our computer labs open and available to students so that they can continue their education as needed.
So this is not a case where the campus is going on lockdown?
No, at this time the campus is open. However, we are making plans right now to begin moving people into a telecommuting mode to increase social distancing. I will say to you plainly, we've canceled virtually every event on campus, and we're asking people who are holding meetings to hold them by Zoom or teleconference. So we're doing everything we can to comply with the CDC guidelines and to help slow the spread of the virus should we have cases close to our community or on campus. So from that perspective, I would say we're not in anywhere close to a lockdown mode. However, this situation evolves so rapidly that we don't know at what point we will get to the campus is closed other than the essential functions. We have made strong plans for skeleton staffing, and we're prepared should that eventuality occur.
And you're talking about canceling events, these kinds of large gatherings. What about student organizations? What information are they getting about what they should be doing?
Well, as of tomorrow, there'll be a communication that basically says all events on campus are canceled. There's the only meetings that I expect to occur are those meetings that are essential for business continuity and functions while we continue ordinary work as best we can through telecommuting and limited contact with each other.
Part of the message that came out last week was encouraging students not to return to campus yet. But there are those, perhaps, who live in dorms, who rely on dining services available through the university. Are those remaining open? What's the situation in the dormitories?
They are remaining open. At this point, today, we have about 1,200 students who have returned to the dorms. So they have dining things. Not everything will be available. Not every dining facility will be opened. We'll be doing this to, obviously be economical, but make sure that our students are still getting good care. I anticipate more students will move in during this extended spring break period. So students who have nowhere else to go or students who need to be back on campus are certainly welcome. And of course, our residence halls are taking extraordinary measures to make sure that our students will be well treated and safe.
Now, there are also sororities and fraternities that are concerned on campus. Are their activities being limited? Are they still remaining in their frat and sorority houses?
Yeah, I don't have a direct mandate on those. I would talk to Elizabeth Witt about them. I'm sure our VP is paying attention. I suspect that they are much like the residence hall students. Many of them are staying home, and that those who have no alternatives are staying at their fraternity or sorority houses.
And they would be getting extra instructions about trying to do sanitizing and all the cleaning that we're all trying to do.
Yeah, we'll be providing instruction for all of our students, although if they're in the process of supporting their own houses, we'll help them to know what to do, but I don't believe we'll be providing that service. We'll have to check into that.
What about the Pole Recreation Center? Will it remain open for students to use and faculty and staff?
At this point, there's limited hours and limited. There's going to be a social distancing mandate. I will tell you, probably that would be one of the first things that would get closed if it's intensely occupied. But with the number of students who are here on campus right now, I don't envision that it will be heavily used.
Now, if there are, going back just a half step to the aspect of students that might not have access to a computer or a laptop, would a mobile phone suffice for doing this alternative learning?
Absolutely. So we're looking at that on a program-by-program basis, and we're getting the course plans coming in from individual faculty, and they've been asked to contemplate the technology that our students may have. In some courses, a mobile phone can be used to record videos or to watch lectures and participate in discussion online. In other courses, such as the ceramics course, the phone may not be what's needed in order to make the artwork that students are working on.
That's right. And we're pretty confident with our solutions that we have, and those are captured well at teachanywhere.unt.edu for our faculty and learnanywhere.unt.edu for our students. We're trying to keep it really simple. We've got solid tools that many people have used, and then we're providing trainings as well. In fact, there's trainings happening right now.
Go ahead and give those web addresses one more time, please.
It's teachanywhere.unt.edu for faculty and learnanywhere.unt.edu for students.
There's so much of education that has gone online these days. It's something the university has already been trying to do, and now it just ramps up for everyone. Are there things where you're hearing that other faculty members who've already been doing online courses are working with their peers?
Absolutely. We asked each department to identify peer mentors that could be assigned to faculty who haven't had experience teaching online before. And we've got the great services of the digital strategy team that is helping to provide technical support as well and instructional design support for those faculty.
You're talking about a ceramics class. What about other classes that require lab work, hard sciences, perhaps creative projects for where I sit, the radio, television, and film area?
Absolutely. We're evaluating all options that are available for alternate delivery where possible, and our faculty are being highly creative about how they're thinking about access to equipment, access to laboratories, and things like that. And where possible, they are putting forward proposals where we can have a safe environment that engages social distancing to allow for some of that highly experiential learning to continue.
Is there a case, as we move forward and we start discovering how this is working, would it be considered an extenuating circumstance that projects such as this that can't be completed don't necessarily count against a student?
We're certainly evaluating those options at this time.
Are there going to be coronavirus COVID-19 tests available on campus?
We don't know at this point. Normally that's going to be subject to the health department here. And of course, any official notification of a positive coronavirus incident would be released by them, not us. So to be honest, that's something that's not exactly in our hands. That's it. We collaborate with them through our Emergency Operations Center and the Health Crisis Team.
Right, that's Denton County Health Department.
So I'm presuming there are ongoing discussions at all levels. The University of North Texas has a large footprint in the city of Denton, that you're in communication with city managers, city council, Denton commissioners, the health department?
We haven't had conversations that I know of directly with the city council or the city manager, but we are in communication on a regular basis with the Denton Health folks. So that's the link right now that's the vital link for us.
I have received word that tomorrow the county health department will be making a presentation to the city council, and there are probably a number of things that may provide more information for all these planning purposes around the community. Do you have any idea about what you might be hearing?
No, I don't know what I'll be hearing from them. Again, Elizabeth Witt is in charge of our health crisis team, and I would say that she has been in contact with those folks, but what I know is that our job is to collaborate with them as they roll out their plans. We're, of course, being, I think, aggressive in our plans to contain and limit the spread of the virus, but we'll comply with whatever the health department says we should do in the meantime.
Go ahead.
No?
Well, as was part of the concern as we're looking at spring break, we have thousands of students that have gone to various places. Does having an extra week off for the students provide for perhaps letting symptoms develop if they do have it so that then they can contact a doctor?
The primary purpose of the spring break extension was to allow our faculty time to prepare for a shift in modality. Our faculty are very hardworking and need that time to be able to engage in planning. We do have protocols in case for students who are traveling internationally or have traveled to a hotspot to engage in self-isolation and be checked by our health center and monitored for a 14-day period.
And that's true for faculty and staff as well. One of the things I want to make sure that all of your listeners are aware of is that we have a website called Health Alerts. healthalerts.unt.edu. So that Health Alerts website is one-stop shopping for everything that's going on concerning COVID and the pandemic. It includes not only links to teaching and learning and the kinds of communications that have gone out. It talks about some of the policies that we've established around meetings. It will be imperative that people check that once a day to make sure they know what we're doing, and if they have a concern, there'll be resources in that site to link them up to whoever they need to talk to.
And that site includes connections or links to the CDC.
Sure, everybody. And it includes them to our HR, it includes them to our health crisis team. I mean, whatever people need, they should be able to find on that site.
In talking about self-isolation, self-quarantining, for students that might be in the dorm situation, is that going to be difficult for someone to self-quarantine in a dorm?
The guidance that we've received is that they would expect that only one person's in a dorm room if we get into that kind of situation. And right now, at approximately 20% occupancy, and we don't know what that final number will be, we should be able to accommodate the need to spread people out into rooms so that there's one person per room.
Now, what about, you talked about HR, the connection to HR. What about students that have on-campus jobs and they may rely on those paychecks for a lot of their living expenses?
We anticipate that we'll still have a robust student workforce. However, as we move to telecommuting or if the campus goes to a skeleton situation, that could change.
Are there any provisions for at least maintaining their pay even though they may not be working?
We are working with HR right now, and I'm going to tell you this is a tricky situation.
Yes.
As this goes on, we will certainly be looking at things like emergency leave and other types of activities to try to keep people who are full-time on the payroll. As far as part-time people, I don't think there can be any guarantee of that. I will point out, however, that students constitute a critical part of our workforce in many of our areas, and telecommuting is certainly an option for many of them.
Once again, to let you know, I'm Mark Lambert at KNTU, talking today about the coronavirus COVID-19 national emergency and what the University of North Texas is working on to continue education next week. I'm talking with UNT President Neil Smatras, Provost Jennifer Evans-Cowley, and Vice President for Digital Strategy and Innovation Adam Fine. Are there any extra things that have to come about with any of the technology? We have so many things in place already on campus. Is there anything that needs to roll out? And perhaps this goes to Adam. What are you looking at for the innovation part?
Well, that's a great question. I'm less concerned about innovation at this point and more concerned about ensuring that faculty and our students feel comfortable with the teaching and learning that needs to change modality very quickly. So what we've tried to do on the websites is really start with the main and the plain, the core technologies and the core pedagogical strategies that you need to have success. So we don't expect anyone to come out who's never done an online course, who never created one, and create the world's best course in a few days. So, but we are there to help, and how we've structured everything is that you can kind of dig in as much as you're able. And so every student will have everything they need, and if over time we need to go a little bit deeper and do some, synchronous group work or something like that, then there's real simple instructions for how to do that.
Yeah, let me embellish that just a bit. There's certainly going to be some technology stopgaps. In fact, I was just in a meeting where I talked to our CIO and others about some of the things we're going to have to adopt in short notice to help business continuity. So whether it's expanded opportunities for virtual presentations. One could potentially even imagine things like virtual graduations or virtual award ceremonies, or whether it's communication for students for recruiting purposes, where we're no longer able to send recruiters into the field, which is an experience that most of the universities in the country are going to be struggling with. We'll be looking at new ways, deploying technology to help solve some of these problems. And we'll have to work carefully with our system IT support to make sure that we can implement them in a timely fashion and try to keep moving forward so our students can graduate or be matriculated here.
You mentioned the possibility for virtual graduation. That's also on my list. That this weekend the CDC released a recommendation that all events with 50 or more people be canceled or postponed for the next 8 weeks. And that would be until, by my calculation, about May 11th. That's the weekend or the Monday after the weekend commencement ceremonies are planned on the university.
Yeah, this is one I'm not willing to make a public announcement on yet.
Okay.
We're struggling with it, to be honest with you, and I think you can understand why. Students, it's a large event in people's lives. Our average per student is 9 family members who attend graduation. It's a big deal, but certainly we don't want to have 10,000 people in the super pit violating the CDC guidelines if we're still in a high-risk situation. We're talking about this. We're talking about alternatives, and we'll have something. We hope to be able to say something about the state of graduation before the end of the week.
But the most important thing is the resumption of the educational experience come next Monday.
Absolutely. That's what we're focused on first and foremost. We have lots of questions that are coming from folks, but the first thing we have to do is make sure that we're continuing our students' excellent education and making sure that they're getting the experiences they need to support their intellectual development.
Part of the online aspect of what the university uses that I'm aware of, I've not taken part in myself, but is there are ways to have students submit projects online already through various means.
Yeah.
Tests to be given. Can you talk about some of those aspects?
Sure. Well, the great news is that our primary learning management system is called Canvas. It's used widely across higher education and K-12 in the United States. So we don't have a big pivot there, particularly for our students. They're very comfortable in the space. You know, it doesn't mean 100%. Of course, we're going to be there to help students who aren't comfortable and faculty, but it's not a big lift, and that's what you'd expect it is. You can get your grade there, you can submit an assignment, you can type in a discussion board, you can watch a lecture, you can break into groups. A lot of the things that have made online learning come to the forefront in the last 10 years is all right there. And over 50% of our students already take at least one online course. And of those, more than 70% access their courses on their mobile phone. So we've got a comfort level there that doesn't make this quite as intimidating. But when you have to move quickly and you had one online course out of 3 and now all of them are online, that's going to take a little bit of adjustment. But between that and the ability to use technologies like Zoom, which is just basic teleconferencing, video communication software, we think we can put together a pretty great learning experience for our students. So not huge differences there, just going to ramp up the numbers some.
Absolutely, and we already have a number of outstanding online programs, and so those faculty who are participating in those programs are coaching and mentoring our faculty to show them some of the best practices of delivering a great online experience.
Part of a discussion I heard in the Media Arts Department today was someone needing a webcam to go with the Zoom technology. Yeah. Is that an issue is there a place where faculty will be going that if they need that extra equipment?
That's a great question. As Jennifer said before, we're looking at the equipment we have on campus and the checkout policies, expanding those, and if we need to ramp that up, we will.
If it's just for Zoom and it's not for classroom purposes, your mobile device is generally going to be adequate.
Exactly.
However, if something higher quality or with greater demands is used, I know Adam and his team will be looking into help.
That's right.
And absolutely, as part of our assessment process, we've asked faculty what technology do they need in order to be able to deliver the educational experience. And we're working with those IT managers to help support our faculty in making sure they have what they need to be successful.
Yeah, it turns out I needed an 84-inch television.
One is on its way, right?
I'm sure.
Just to make sure I'm clear on this, when you're talking about using mobile devices, you're saying that I could use my mobile phone, use the camera within it, and then I could, as give a lecturer, I could send that information through Zoom?
So, yeah, Zoom actually has a really good app that can be used on your phone or something like an iPad quite easily. Really no different than something like FaceTime, if you're familiar with that. Just a few more tools that make it really better for academic, but it works great for meetings too. Then again, sometimes audio is what we have, and dialing a phone number will work just as well.
Absolutely. It's a creative solution for issues like office hours, where you want to have the flexibility that students can call in when they want to engage and have that quick Zoom conversation so they can share an assignment and get feedback from their faculty members.
Does this also play into how faculty may need to find other arrangements for holding office hours to meet with students?
Absolutely. We're asking our faculty to the greatest extent they can to stick with their schedule that they had with students before this happened, because students have their schedules that they're trying to abide to and their work schedules and all those sorts of things. But yes, our faculty are going to get creative about how they are able to engage and support our students in office hours and questions that students have along the way.
I will give a nod to our graduate students as well. We have a lot of graduate students on campus who serve as TAs. They're often very well equipped from a technological standpoint, and I've been receiving emails from a variety of faculty saying, can I do this, can I do that, and they copy their TA, and their TA is like, I got this, it's cool, we're going to be fine. So that's a partnership that's really, kind of a classic part of the partnership in higher education is between the TA and the faculty, and I think that'll even be more important now.
Yeah, one thing I need to say is I would love it if next Monday all the technology works perfectly. I don't anticipate that will be the case. I think it's going to be important that we set up kind of a hotline. I think there's going to be fits and starts. We know that the VPN might be an issue. The Zoom bandwidth might be an issue, that someone gets home and tries their mobile device, and I did this, and it didn't work, but it worked well with my computer at work. There's going to be all those little kinds of questions popping up. And what is important here is we ask everybody for their forbearance and their cooperation and understanding, because we'll get it worked out, but it might take a few days.
There we go. Is there any kind of bandwidth issue when you talk about VPN? I know I have used that for a lot of my work with KNTU, that I'm able to do a lot of things from home. Am I going to be limited if I've been using VPN? Is it going to slow down at all? Is there any worry about that?
I'll just comment and say, one of the things that we need to think about with our students, faculty, and staff is that last mile connectivity. Some of our community members live in more rural locations where they don't have access to high-speed internet, and so we've got some advice around how to help minimize some of that by turning off video and things like that will allow people to have a better experience.
That's right. In addition, we've seen a lot of private entities stepping up, Verizon, AT&T, and others starting to offer limited time, unlimited data, and things like this that will really help. And we're looking at doing other things like mapping areas where EduRoam, which is a higher education wireless system across the country, looking at mapping that so students can see other places that they might be able to get good connectivity if they can't get it at home. But it's complicated, and we want to make sure our recommendations are going to be things that are a good use of our students' time. So we're looking at all that and talking to colleagues across the country about that.
This has all come about so quickly, and we were in the midst of some real exciting times at the University of North Texas just less than a week ago, as the Mean Green men's basketball team was advancing to a potential NCAA March Madness berth, and then no audience going to watch the game, then no more games. Is this just kind of the frustration that you're hearing about, that you're having to deal with?
don't know. I think most people understand the severity of this situation, and they understand that these are volatile times. And I'm pleasantly surprised with how resilient and collaborative folks have been. The situation around basketball, that was a tough one.
Yeah.
And, you know that the kids are hurting, and heck, I just want them to publish the bracket so that they can, what they did this year. There's going to be other disappointments like that. But then again, it's an emergency situation. And I think one thing that I've seen on our campus is that instead of falling apart, we pull together. And that's the message that I want to send to everybody. It's a great time for us to be understanding of each other, to be tolerant, to work together, and to make sure that we keep our mission in mind, which is to help our students thrive and to graduate in a timely fashion. And that's what we're going to do.
It's the added just weirdness for this is that, yes, we are pulling together and we're helping each other. We just can't give a hug of thanks.
Exactly. We can do waves,
Yeah.
and virtual high fives.
Virtual fist bumps, yeah.
Well, there's that elbow.
Remember the elbow?
Yeah, I don't love the elbow.
Well, we could wear gloves, I guess, and just fist bump.
Yeah, maybe we can do that and then just rub antiseptic on our knuckles, right?
To wrap this up, we're just about out of time. I am talking today with UNT President Neil Smotres, Provost Jennifer Evans-Cowley, Vice President for Digital Strategy and Innovation Adam Fine. I'm Mark Lambert at KNTU. What final words would you like to leave people with?
We are excited to face this challenge. It's a trying and difficult time for everybody, for our students, staff, and faculty, but we're coming together and we're going to find a way to make this work. We're going to make sure our students have a great educational experience, and we're all going to learn from this.
Yeah, I want to say this is a giant disruptive event. But when we come out the other side, some of the things that we were worried about moving into the future with, going more online, being able to use technology, knowing how to build hybrid classes, some of the things that might have been heavy lifts a year ago are now going to be part of our ordinary operating procedures. So, one thing I always like to say is let no disaster go wasted. Use it to form a better team, a stronger paradigm, a better educational system. And I believe that that's just what Jennifer said we're doing, and I think we're going to be stronger moving forward.
That's a much better way of saying the cliche of when given lemons, make lemonade.
Yeah.
That's right. We're making a lot of green lemonade around here.
That's right.
I want to thank the three of you for joining me, and I hope some people have learned some information and will be able to move on from this point.
Thank you much, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.